Hello, lovely people. I'm Debs. Welcome back to my channel, Rainy Reads Stuff. I am here in the book shack. I'm going to do my Sunday reading wrap up on a Monday because I didn't do it yesterday. I'm full of cold, and yesterday was just one of those days where I couldn't be bothered to do anything. So apologies. It's early though, so it's 7:30. I have coffee. Right. Personal news first. Last week, I said it had been a busy week because my eldest daughter had given birth to a little girl who she's named Mia, who is little sister to Mason. And also, it had been my 60th birthday. So this week, immediately after I made last week's video, I packed up the car and Phil and I went down south to meet my new granddaughter and to belatedly celebrate my birthday. On Saturday, my youngest daughter, who was also pregnant, gave birth 10 days early to a beautiful baby boy who they have called Remy. Unfortunately, we can't go down to see him yet because we are full of cold, both of us. But so it's been a bit of a whirlwind week, really. We celebrated my birthday while I was down south with my family. My crazy, wonderful daughters have given me 60 birthday presents for my 60th birthday, with a proviso that I am only allowed to open one a day. So this morning I opened present number 13, which was a lovely cookbook. Very impressed. Lots of nice recipes in there that you can put together quickly. I do love cooking. And these gifts have either been, small gifts or bigger gifts. There's a wide variety. They're all mixed up, from things like a air freshener for my car, face wash, to my favourite picture of my eldest grandson, a selection of world coffees, this sweatshirt. These gifts are going to last me till December the 13th, which I just think is so much fun and so kind of them. And then, in addition, they've given me, within the space of a fortnight, a new granddaughter and a new grandson. I couldn't be happier. Needless to say, I haven't read very much. So let's get on to the books. This week, what have I read this week? Right, to start with, for Victober, I read Carmilla by Sheridan le Fanu. It's a vampire story. It's a good vampire story. Now, I've read Dracula. Carmilla is a precursor, apparently, to Dracula. I thought it was fabulous. It's about this father and daughter who live in a castle in the woods. They're expecting a visitor, but he doesn't come because his ward, his niece, has died unexpectedly. He was going to bring his niece on a visit. He says he'll visit in a month or so's time. They hear a clattering outside, and there is a carriage with footmen, and it's spooked and it crashes. Inside this carriage is a woman and a young girl about the same age as the daughter. The young girl appears to be suffering from some sort of fatigue. The woman asks if she can leave her in the care of the father and daughter while she gallops off on a mission that she doesn't think her daughter is going to be up to, and they agree. But this is a vampire story and strange things start happening. It's so atmospheric. It's a real good gothic novella. It was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Next up, what did I read next? I finished. I'd read the first couple of stories in this book, Tales from the Folly, by Ben Aaronovitch, who has written the Rivers of London series. I read this for Occult Detective October. I read the 8th novel in the series in the first week. This is a collection of short stories. There are 13 of them. Excuse me. The book is split into 2 parts. The first part features 6 stories where the main character is Peter Grant, who is the hero from the novels. And Peter Grant is a detective in the section of the Metropolitan Police that deals with the occult and supernatural. These were great fun, really, really good fun. It says at the beginning of each story whereabouts it slots in the timeline of the novels, but they can be read as standalones. And I like Ben Aaronovitch's style. It's not too serious. It's a fast-paced, rollicking read, and the short stories particularly so. The second section features 7 stories. That's the main character is a minor character from the novels. One of the things about this group is that these books is there is a great selection of diverse characters in this. And again, the second section was just as good as the first, and I loved it. Next was another ebook. I don't know why I read this. I was looking through my ebooks, trying to decide whether or not I was going to do the Read What You Own challenge this year. More on that in a bit. And I came across this. I read the synopsis. I had a look at the first couple of pages. Before I knew it, I was 3 chapters in. This is The Last Laugh Club by Kate Galley. I'd never heard of Kate Galley, and I'd never heard of The Last Laugh Club. Excuse me. Right. This book is a gentle comedy. It's a feel-good book. It features older characters. Basically, Norman is dead. Norman writes to 3 of his friends and asks them to attend his funeral wearing the last item of knitwear that he created for them. And so Gloria, Bridget, and Derek turn up to the funeral to find everybody else is in mourning clothes, and they are wearing very garish, leery knitwear. The 4 of them used to work together. Gloria was the second wife of the owner of the firm that they used to work for. And when he died, she took over the running of the firm. Derek used to work in the warehouse. Bridget was first the first owner's secretary and then became Gloria's secretary. And Norman, I don't know what Norman did. Maybe it was him that worked in the warehouse. Anyway, Norman had had an accident at work which rendered him disabled, unable to work anymore. So he started knitting, which is something his mother had taught him. And over the decade or so that between him being injured and between that and his death, all three of these characters, unbeknown to each other, used to visit him on a regular basis and became his friends. Turns out with all three of them, there's an element of guilt as to the cause of Norman's accident. And you learn more about that as you go along. But they attend this funeral in their garish knitwear, and then they are asked to speak to Norman's assistant, who says that he wants them to scatter his ashes. And he wants the three of them to go on a journey to the Shetland Isles, which he perceives as the home of knitting, and scatter his ashes on the northernmost of the islands. They reluctantly agree. They don't particularly get on. There's a bit of very, very past history between Gloria and Derek. Bridget is starting to lose her memory, but is quite a prickly character and rubs Gloria up the wrong way. Derek is sort of a peacemaker, but these three agree. Norman was their friend and they're going to go and scatter his ashes. So they cross on the ferry from Aberdeen to Lerwick, pick up this rusty old bucket of a van, at which point the assistant contacts them again and says that Norman believes, because his mother told him just before she died, that his father was a Shetland Islander, and he wants them to see, A, if they can track down any of his family members before they scatter the ashes, but also he'd like them to take his ashes on a tour to the places he wished he'd seen but hadn't. With me so far? It's actually great fun. It's not the best book in the world, but it's a gentle, cozy, quite amusing book. But I'm getting to like books about elderly people with main protagonists who are older. That's probably because I am old. Anyway, I enjoyed it. The last book was also for Victober, and this was The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I've had this book forever and I'd never read it before. I don't know why. Now, interestingly, Gavin from Genre Books did a video yesterday about reading books that are awkward. And by awkward, he meant books that are steeped in colonialism and racism, and uses terminology that we would not use anymore. And this is one of the books he mentioned. I'm going to link the video below. It's really interesting. One of the things he said, which I completely agree with, is that he didn't feel guilty about colonialism or these books because he wasn't there. And that's very true. I wasn't there either. Neither were you. Whilst I appreciate that this book uses a lot of language that we would never in a million years use now because we have grown up, our understanding of the world and of people has very much changed. I don't think you can class Joseph Conrad in this book as racist. I also don't actually think that necessarily he's a product of his time, because what he's doing in this book is he is using that terminology and he is using the information about colonialism to highlight how wrong it is. This is a book that is It's criticising, it's designed to criticise colonialism and the treatment of European nations, treatment by European nations of the indigenous African population. In this book, Charles Marlowe recounts a journey that he took. He's a sailor, but he piloted a steamship up a river in Africa, and it's widely believed that that river is the Congo, and that he is talking about the Belgian occupation of that nation. The writing about Africa and about the journey and the physical difficulties of the journey is great. Yes, there is excessive use of words that we would no longer use. But this is examining what on earth European nations were doing in Africa. Excuse me, and how it can go so horribly wrong. I am glad I read this book. It was interesting and I enjoyed it. Well, enjoyed it. I don't know whether enjoyed is the right word. I'm glad I read it. Other books that I was reading last week, I haven't picked up at all. But that's just the way it is when you've got lots of things going on and also you're feeling a bit under the weather. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I have started reading Hester, which is the group read for Victober. And whereas everybody else started it at the beginning of the month and finished it, I think, on October the 22nd, I didn't start it till this week. And so I'm playing catch up, but I'm really enjoying it. I've also started reading War of the Worlds, which is another book mentioned in Gavin's video. I have a few bits and pieces that I want to catch up with. I won't be able to go down and see New Grandson until I've got rid of these germs, which were given to me by number one grandson. That's a problem, isn't it? You know, you send children out into the world to nurseries and playgroups and things, and they just pick up germs. Anyway, I am delighted now to have 3 grandchildren, 2 in the space of 2 weeks. They were actually due more than a month apart, well, just over a month apart. One was 10 days early and one was 10 days late, so they're actually born 12 days apart. I'm looking forward to wrapping up my October reads this week and very much looking forward to November. Now, I did say more on Read What You Own. You know, if you've been on this channel for very long, you know that I've done 100 books, at least 100 books. Last year I did 125 books because I decided my book buying was out of control. And we get to about January and all I do is whinge and moan about it, about how annoying it is not to be able to buy any books. So I didn't know whether I was going to do it again this year. I've decided that I am. I have plenty of books. I am leaving myself some get-out clauses. So, for example, I am doing the John Irving read-along over November and December. And November's is Cider House Rules. And John Irving is bringing out a new novel, which is out in December. It might be out in November, but we're reading it in December, called Queen Esther. It's not out yet, so I haven't got it. I will be getting that somehow. I might be lucky in getting it from the library, but I don't know. If not, I will purchase it. That's my main get-out clause. But also, I'm not specifying the number of books I'm going to read. I'm going to specify the length of time I am going to torture myself for. and I've decided that this event starts on November the 5th. I'm going to go to January the 5th because last year it was when everybody was doing their 10 best books of the year or books I'm looking forward to reading this year that I started getting really twitchy about buying books because I wanted to read them. Sorry, more coffee. So that's the plan. I'll read as many as I can. I've got enough to be going on with, and I've got, apart from that one John Irving book, I think I've got all the books I need, I think, for events between now and the end of the year. So that's my week / fortnight. I hope you've had a good week. I'm sorry this is a day late. I can't talk any longer because I'm going to continue coughing, and that's just annoying. So I hope you've had a fabulous week. I hope you have a fabulous week this week. Thank you for stopping by. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.